Afternoon, friends. Welcome back. I know it's been a little while. Been crazy busy here with all kinds of different things going on, but today I've got another project in the shop. I took the Kimco and actually traded it for this Honda. You know, I'm an old school Honda fan. I grew up on Hondas and I really like them. And I had a three-wheeler when I was young and I really enjoyed it, and it's one of those things that I actually missed. So I was able to make a deal on it's a 1983 ATC 185. Now it's not perfect by any means, but for me it's a good start. It's a good project. I think it's got good compression. It does seem to roll over just fine. One of the things that is missing is the recoil. I do have it, but the recoil spring is actually in really bad shape. I think it's actually stretched too far. So I've ordered a new recoil spring and I'm waiting on that. Outside of that, the bike needs the carburetor rebuilt, which I have that off right now. That's soaking in the ultrasonic, so that will be, cleaned up a little bit before I tear it apart and then fully clean it up. It also needs the tire patch. It does have a sidewall brake, and I was able to pick up one of these Gluetread patch kits, and from what I've read online is that these things are great for sidewalls. They seem to review out real well. I've never actually used them, but we're gonna try that today. I know these tires are not in the best shape. I know the front one absolutely needs to be replaced. It's weather checked all around. The back ones look like they were replaced fairly recently and they're not really that weather checked. But I know with the sidewall, being damaged, your guess is as good as mine as to how long it'll actually last. But I do want to be able to roll this thing around, and I want to patch this for now, and for 20 bucks it made sense to get a patch kit as opposed to buying tires to replace at this point in time. I want to get this thing running and riding and check it all out before I put tires on it, because if it does need a full engine rebuild, that's not in the cards right now. And if I've got new tires that are just going to sit and end up being weather checked from sitting in the shed, for me it doesn't make sense to do that at this point in time. Outside of that, I think everything else on this bike is complete. I think I have all the parts to put it back together, minus that recoil spring that I'm waiting on. I do have the complete recoil itself, and I have the spring that was in it, and I've tried to wind it back up numerous times, and every time I get it back into the recoil itself, of course it expands to the size of the recoil, and I'm unable to actually wind it up properly. And I feel like the ends of the spring are they're really bent up real bad, and I think they're just not catching properly. I've tried to kind of finagle them a little bit, but I think it's probably really worn out. I assume it's stock to the bike from 1983, so it's probably time to actually replace it. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and work on getting this rear tire off, this rear wheel off, so we can get this thing patched. For as old as this bike is, things like the rear axle look like they've either been replaced or they're in really excellent shape. I'm not really sure. I mean, I see the side covers on this are real nice looking. Overall condition of the bike, it looks like it's an old bike that probably wasn't ridden a whole lot, that someone had and maybe used every once in a while. The seat is recovered, I do know that. One of the other things that I have, but is a part, is the thumb throttle. And I know I want to switch this over to a twist throttle. It's just personal preference. I know I could buy a thumb throttle kit and put that back on, and I'm gonna try the twist throttle first and see if that actually works. I'm not sure if I'll like it or not, but I figure I've got the whole entire kit, I might as well try putting it on. I also need to find the front brake perch and brake cable. I don't have that at all. That did not come with the bike, so it's something I'll need to order and then get installed as well. But for now, we're gonna put some air in this tire and find our leak. Now that I've got the tire up on the bench here, I'm actually gonna put some air into it because it is completely deflated. I believe my place that it's cracked, there's a crack here that you can see, and there's another one right here, right there. I'm not sure which point it's leaking at, so we're going to put some air in this thing and figure it out. And just as I suspected, it should be this spot here. I know I should have a spray bottle, but I don't. Yep, that's leaking pretty good there. So this is my point right here. This is where it's leaking. As you can see, it's making a giant mess. I only have 7 pounds of pressure in there, and of course it's spraying everywhere. I think that's my only leak. So we'll go ahead and we'll let that depressurize. We'll clean this up and we'll wait for the air to leak out of it. One of the things I'm going to have to do is sand this down flat, and it says Pro right here, right in the crack. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sand this off so it's flat. That way the tire patch kit will adhere to the face of this tire perfectly. This kit comes with pre-cut patches. So I've got a square here. It's like a 1.5 by 1.5 square, and that should fit perfectly. Got 2 of those. Got a couple longer ones too. It also comes with the adhesive. And it does have little applicators to put the adhesive on with. And it also gives you sandpaper. And this is something that you could pack, in your backpack and take with you. And you're supposed to be able to use it right on the trail. So that way if you've got an issue going on where you get a flat, you're able to fix it right on the trail. So I'm going to go ahead and start sanding this. You want the surface to be roughed up. So I've gone ahead and I've sanded the surface pretty smooth here. Not sure if you can see it in the camera here, but you can probably see the scuff marks. And it's all around this crack right here. And that's the spot I'm looking to go ahead and patch. So now with this sanded really smooth, the patch actually fits pretty nicely. That's where I'm going to have it. So what the recommendation is a couple dabs of the glue into the actual crack itself. And I've gone ahead and I've pierced the glue here, and I've got my little applicator on. So I'm going to go ahead and work on getting some glue into this crack. It definitely says less is more on this type of stuff. You're not supposed to use a lot of it. I'm trying to be gentle with what I'm doing here. Just trying to get some of this down into the crack itself. Now what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to lay this out in like a dot type pattern with a pretty equal spacing. So I'm going to try to attempt that. I probably should have marked the area here with some sort of a paint marker or something. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough glue in this. It seems like there's not, but there could be. I hope there is. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this patch to the sidewall. I'm actually going to go around the outside of the patch itself, Just kind of dabbing this around just to create a good barrier and a good seal. I want this to last as long as I possibly can get it to last. I'm not sure if it's going to work out real well or not. Hoping it does. Like I said, for 20 bucks, I feel it's worth a shot. It says the dry time is 5 minutes, full cure time is 1 hour. It seems to be sticking pretty well already. All right, we're gonna let that dry for an hour. Then we're gonna check back, and then we're gonna try to put air in this thing, and hopefully it holds. From what it says, after an hour, this thing's ready to be filled with air, and it's supposed to hold. So we're gonna see what it does. Hopefully I've done this correctly. We'll let you know shortly. All right, friends, we've let this sit for an entire hour now. The glue seems to be a little tacky yet around the actual patch itself. But we're gonna try putting air in this thing and see what it does. Unfortunately, we still have a leak. It's leaking right out of the bottom here. So I'm not sure if a second patch is needed or if I need to try to pull this one off, or what I need to do at this point. I'm going to clean up my water here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the adhesive back out. I'm going to try to fill that with adhesive. The patch definitely cleared the entire tear in the sidewall, but I guess I didn't put enough adhesive in the actual crack itself, and I think that's a lot of my problem. So I'm going to go ahead, dry this up, I'm going to put adhesive on it, and then we'll try again. Well, friends, as you can see, I have gone ahead and put the wheel assembly back onto the three-wheeler. It is currently setting on its own weight. I've taken the jack out from underneath it, and it seems to be holding air. I don't hear any leaks, and I'm hoping that it's not going to continue to leak. I'm going to let this, of course, sit on its own wheels now, from now on, and I hope that it stays up, and it stays aired up. From here, I've got the carburetor stripped down and in pieces in an ultrasonic cleaner. I will run that for 2 30-minute intervals, trying to clean that thing up and get that thing ready to go back onto the bike. Of course, it was a mess and gross inside, and I'm hoping to get all the particles and all the old gas and whatever dirt that's on the carburetor off of the carburetor. I have also installed the twist throttle and the second grip on the other side, so those things are ready. From there, I have parts on order. The main recoil spring is on order. It has been shipped, and I'm waiting on that. I did also order the brake perch, lever, and cable for the front brake. Now, I haven't messed with the front brake at all, so I'm not sure what the internals look like on the front brake. They could be shot. I don't know yet, but I haven't messed with that. I'll address that once the parts come in. From there, it's going to be oil change, and I think this thing's ready to run. I mean, once I get the recoil rebuilt on this thing and I've got fresh fluids in this, I'll put the gas tank back on, and hopefully this thing's ready to run and everything will run right and everything will be good. And I don't know what the valves are like in this. I haven't personally heard this run. Now I did push it around a little bit and I've heard the compression in the engine. I know I could have started it based on that with a little bit of spray and ran it on spray, but I didn't want to do that. You know, seeing the carburetor body and how gross it was, I knew it was better to take that thing apart and clean it, and that's what I'm going to work on next. Afternoon, friends. Just wanted to give you a quick update on the three-wheeler. I did patch the wheel on this last Friday. It's now Monday. The tire has been holding air pressure for the entire weekend. Now I know that doesn't determine if this is going to actually work or not, but at least for now, it's holding strong. It's doing really well. You know, once I get this thing running, you know, thrashing around the yard, through the trails and whatnot, I'll be able to tell if this is actually going to make it. I'll do a full review video at that point in time. I've got a couple pieces to hang on this thing today. I do have the front brake cable, no front brake lever yet. I did finally get the new mainspring in. That came in Saturday. So now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and redo that recoil. So that way, hopefully I get the recoil buttoned up today. That's where that's at. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys a quick update on the tire situation, let you know that that's actually holding air and that Gluetread kit has worked out really well. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the video. You know, if you like this type of content, give her a thumbs up, give her a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of stuff in the works for this summer. You know, a lot of bikes, you know, in the shop and out of the shop, and a lot of things I'm working on right now. So if you're looking forward to different content, you know, I'm going to be working on this three-wheeler. Got a couple Vespas that I'd like to get to, my 48WL, hopefully getting the engine built for that soon. I've got the 1945U that I think the frame is going to go out for that pretty quick here. So hopefully I'll be able to give you updates on those things too. But for now, I'm going to continue working on the three-wheeler here, trying to get this thing closer to running and riding. The carburetor is clean. I did sit in the ultrasonic bath, you know, for a few revolutions. I think I ran it for about a good 2 hours, honestly. So that's all cleaned up now. I'm going to get that put back together and then start thrashing on this thing to get it back together. But as always, guys, I appreciate you following along. I'll video all those things as I work on this thing, so stay tuned. We'll see you then.